Welcome back. Prime Minister Narendra Modi was his usual self in an election rally in Jammu. Kashmir has gone to polls. He slammed both Congress and National Conference in election rally in Katra. Modi accused Congress and NC of pursuing Pakistan's agenda and said that the Pakistan is celebrating the manifesto of the alliance which hopes to restore Article 370 in 35A. Suddenly, in the middle of the election, the Article 370 is back, Pakistan is back, nationalism is back. So what are the core issues? What does a Kashmiri want? What are the issues on which elections are being fought? Are they fought on what is being said by the netas in rally? Or the real issues are at the location where people are going out and participating in the political process. So first let's listen to Prime Minister Modi.
कांग्रेस को दिया गया हर एक वोट यहां नेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस और पीडीपी के मैनिफेस्टो को लागू करेगा। और ये क्या घोषणा कर रहे हैं? ये कह रहे हैं कि ये यहां आर्टिकल 370 को वापस लौटाएंगे, यानी ये खून खराबे के उस पुराने दौर को फिर लौटाना चाहते हैं। साथियों, कांग्रेस नेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस को लेकर जम्मू कश्मीर में भले ही उत्साह न हो, लेकिन पड़ोसी देश इन्हें लेकर बहुत उत्साह में है। यहां तो उनको कोई पूछने वाला नहीं है, लेकिन वहां पूछा जा रहा है। पाकिस्तान में कांग्रेस नेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस के अलायंस की बल्ले बल्ले हो रही है। पाकिस्तान में इनके मैनिफेस्टो, इनके घोषणा पत्र से पाकिस्तान बहुत खुश नजर आ रहा है। पाकिस्तान के डिफेंस मिनिस्टर ने कांग्रेस नेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस का खुलकर समर्थन किया है। पाकिस्तान से उनका कहना है कि आर्टिकल 370 और 35A को लेकर कांग्रेस और एनसी का एजेंडा वही है जो पाकिस्तान का एजेंडा है। ये वहां के मंत्री बोल रहे हैं। यानी कांग्रेस नेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस की पोल खुद पाकिस्तान ने खोल दी है। यानी कांग्रेस नेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस यहां पर पाकिस्तान का एजेंडा लागू करना चाहते हैं। पाकिस्तान के जिस एजेंडे ने जम्मू कश्मीर की पीढ़ियां बर्बाद की, हमारा खून बहाया, वही ये लोग यहां फिर से लागू करना चाहते हैं। हम जम्मू कश्मीर में पाकिस्तान के एजेंडा को लागू नहीं होने देंगे। दुनिया की कोई ताकत जम्मू कश्मीर में आर्टिकल 370 की वापसी नहीं करा सकती।
I'm joined by Ahmed Ali Fayaz, senior journalist, Rahul Rashid, human rights activist from Jammu and Kashmir, Danish Iqbal, political analyst, and I'm also joined by my input editor, Brijesh Pandey, who joins me from the studio. Thank you all of you for joining me. Let me straight away go to Rahul Rashid. A very warm welcome to you. Shaila, my question to you is, what is the real issue on which elections are being fought? What concerns a Kashmiri today?
Elections are being fought or elections should be fought? Which one is your question?
Are being fought. Should is an ideal condition.
Right. So I think I'd like to address the ideal condition. See, we always have to talk about the future. An election can never talk about the past. Unfortunately, what we see is we see people harping on the past. And I don't mean people as in voters, I mean candidates. The issues that candidates are raising, they are harping on the past. But nobody is telling us what they are going to do, for example, about economic employment generation, economic potential of Jammu and Kashmir, how they are going to realize that, what are they going to do about the waste management problem? What are they going to do about the stray dog issue that causes dog bites? What are they going to do about the traffic and flooding and the drainage issues in Srinagar city or in Kashmir Valley in general? These are the issues. As a voter, this is what I would like to hear about. On the contrary, what I'm hearing is Hindustan, Pakistan, 370, Masla Kashmir. लोगों के इश्यूज है नहीं ग्राउंड पे. लोगों के इश्यूज आज ग्राउंड पे दूसरे हैं, बिजली के हैं. जैसे आज प्राइम मिनिस्टर मोदी आए, उन्होंने, आपने नोटिस किया होगा, उन्होंने जब बिजली की बात की, जब उन्होंने सही कहा कि अगर हम लोग एक्चुअली सोलर लगवाएंगे सब लोग तो बिजली के बिल जीरो हो जाएंगे. अगर आपने नोटिस किया हो कार्तिकेय, तो सबसे ज्यादा जो तालियां है ना वो उसी पॉइंट पे बजी, क्योंकि ग्राउंड पे लोगों का, मैं आपको ये एतमाद से बता सकती हूँ, सबसे बड़ा इशू यही है कि बिजली की बिल्स का जो है वो सबसे बड़ा इशू है. तो मुझे तो नहीं लगता कि कोई और कैंडिडेट उसको एड्रेस कर रहा है. तो जब पीएम मोदी ने उसकी बात की कि, और ये एक्चुअली जुमला नहीं है, अगर हम लोग सब लोग सोलर लगवाएंगे, उन्होंने कहा कि 80,000 वो सब्सिडी देंगे, तो एक्चुअली बिजली बिल जीरो हो सकते हैं. इनफैक्ट लोग जो है उससे कमा सकते हैं. नाउ दिस इज अ रियल इशू. डॉग बाइट का इशू है, वहां पे ड्रेनेज के मसले. मैं तो नहीं सुन रही हूँ कि कोई भी कैंडिडेट इसमें. अच्छा जी, अब ये जो बोल रहे हैं हम 370 वापस लाएंगे, पहले तो हम इनसे सवाल पूछना चाहते हैं, ये कौन सा वाला 370 आप वापस लाएंगे जो 1953 के बाद से कंटिन्यूअसली डाइल्यूट होता गया थ्रू सक्सेसिव प्रेसिडेंशियल ऑर्डर्स? आप प्री 1953 वाला 370 वापस लाएंगे या आप 2019 वाला 370 वापस लाएंगे? तो दिस इज टोटल हिपोक्रेसी एंड आई वॉश. लेकिन मैं आपको एक चीज बताऊं, वी हैव टू गिव कश्मीरीज क्रेडिट कि दीज आर नॉट द इश्यूज ऑफ द पीपल. ये जो पॉलिटिशियंस इश्यूज रेज कर रहे हैं, ये एक्चुअली लोगों के इश्यूज नहीं है. आपने दानिश को बुलाया है इस पे, बहुत अच्छी बात है, बिकॉज दानिश हैज बीन रेजिंग सम वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इश्यूज ऑन हिज सोशल मीडिया. ही इज ऑन द ग्राउंड. He has been making some very good observations, and voices like him should be heard more about what are the real issues on the ground.
Okay, Danish, let me go straight away to you. I completely agree with Shahla. You know, कश्मीर को एक अलग नज़रिए से देखने की भी ज़रूरत होती है. कश्मीर डल लेक से शुरू होकर डल लेक पे ख़त्म नहीं हुआ था. मैं 2 साल पहले गया और पहली बार मल्टी स्टोरी बिल्डिंग्स देखी, एंड आई वाज वेरी सरप्राइज टू सी मल्टी स्टोरी बिल्डिंग्स बीइंग बिल्ट ऑन द एयरपोर्ट रोड, बिकॉज all I could remember in my childhood was houses. So yes, I understand, you know, it's very difficult if you are walking in evening, you really have a stray dog problem, you know. So, you know, there are civil issues, but in last 40 years, political issues actually dominated electoral themes. That is also the truth. So, do you think that shift has happened? And a question which I succeed with the, you know, with the point I was trying to make, it has also not led to moving away of Kashmiri vote from the traditional political parties. They stay where they were. It has not changed. 2 questions to you, sir.
Kartiki, let me answer the second one first. You're asking me that the vote to the conventional vote to the traditional mainstream hasn't shifted from traditional to the unionist parties. Well, that clearly hasn't, because as much as we would want to, you know, sort of cry in the wilderness that these elections are about development, these elections are about, these elections are in a way to address the developmental deficit. True, correct, absolutely. But this election, as far as I am seeing, and I have been a very concerned observer of politics here over the last 5-6 years, I believe this election, first and foremost, it's about a competitive espousal of a Kashmiri identity, you know. And the parties who have espoused, who have in a way sharpened the Kashmiri identity more in the last 3, 4, 5 years, have in fact undoubtedly a greater electoral edge this time around, you know. Development is a reality, you know. Srinagar has faced a developmental deficit. Srinagar has faced a great steep deficit in the urban infrastructure, for example. But identity politics, as we all know, is a very powerful idea, and has rallied people around the globe, across the communities, and people identify with their own people. That's probably not correct. As a student of uh, international relations, I have actually believed that you know people the people who have sort of been worse to the people are their own people. But then what could you do? The identity politics is very powerful. Yes, development is a great concern in Srinagar. Everybody wants to have better roads, better healthcare, better education. And I'll tell you, Karthik, something interesting about the developmental deficit in Srinagar that we have been actually facing in the last 10, 20, 30 years. It's not that the National Conference PDP did not want development in Srinagar. They have done a fair degree of development in the city, but they did not intentionally want the imagination of a global kind of a metropolitan city to come in the Kashmiri imagination, to come in the Srinagar imagination. Because once you are thrown into a kind of competitive global city imagination, your aspirations begin to improve. You start asking political questions. I can safely say that National Conference PDP, who are actually the family controlled, monopolistic, dynastic parties, did not want the imagination of their citizens to improve, so that they won't ask the questions. It's very simple. You know, did not were not they able to provide city buses in the last 10 years? Where were they? Did not they see people, passengers all over the passengers sheds, waiting in the late hours aimlessly for a bus? Did not they see it? They of course saw it. But the reason that they did not provide the modern city amenities is because that they did not want people to have the city imagination. They did not
Okay.
want the developmental discourse to creep in. If the developmental discourse comes in, then people would start asking the questions. People would start asking that why are these parties led by the family members? Why are these parties led by the people who are not interested in Srinagar? So
Okay.
Srinagar has to be, inshallah, moved forward by the people who have stakes in
Okay.
Srinagar,
No,
who
this
feel
brings
the
me,
pain in Srinagar.
Danish, this also brings me to the question, if you say that this needs to happen, then why has that thing not happened, It's always the counter. So let me get in Fayaz here. Fayaz, thank you being for so patient. Why hasn't that shift happened? Mr. Fayaz.
The problem is that the elections in Jammu and Kashmir are not being contested the way these are contested in the rest of the country. After 1996, it was National Conference's slogan that autonomy, that means greater autonomy, the autonomy which according to them was snatched away after Sheikh Abdullah's arrest in 1953, that must be restored. It is because of that they boycotted the election, Lok Sabha election of 1996. And when they participated in the assembly elections of 1996, it was a promise to them, and people's expression was that this autonomy should be restored. So you know that's the history. They constituted committees and they passed a resolution which was passed unanimously in both houses of Jammu and Kashmir Assembly, for which 8 MLAs of the Bharatiya Janata Party and 7 MLAs of the Congress Party also voted for it. So it was a unanimous resolution, but it was declined by the government of Mr. Vajpayee that time. Thereafter, these people have been saying that we are contesting elections for getting the autonomy back. And with the introduction of this new party, People's Democratic Party, it became a little larger. They said that we have to resolve the political issue of Jammu and Kashmir. That started in the assembly elections of 2002. And when the 2008 elections were happening, National Conference said that it was after 4 months of street agitation in Kashmir. So National Conference said that हमें इसके साथ कुछ नहीं है जो मसले कश्मीर है, दैट इज कश्मीर का मसला बिटवीन इंडिया एंड पाकिस्तान, हम इसको छोड़ देंगे बाकी लोगों पर, मतलब कि हुर्रियत विरियत अपनी जगह पे वो इसको हल करेंगे. बट वी आर कंटेस्टिंग द इलेक्शंस फॉर सड़क, बिजली, पानी एंड उमर अब्दुल्ला एटीट्यूड, सेहत एंड तालीम. So he said that हम इसके इन 5 चीजों के लिए लड़ रहे हैं. So that time they did not.
Mr. Very important point, Mr. Fayaz. As Shaila also said, if it is Bijli Pani, then why are leaders talking about 370? If it is actually stray dogs, if it is actually sewage, if it is actually Bijli Pani, if it is actually employment, maybe more hospitals in the state, maybe more better multi-story apartments for a better land use in Kashmir Valley, then why Pakistan has come?
The question is to me or Shaila?
Yes, yes, to you.
Yes, I can tell you. I can tell you that it is because of the competitive separatism which we have witnessed in Kashmir. Whosoever contested the elections in Kashmir, they say Kashmir ka masala hum hal karenge. So ab now we have now I'll come to the 2024 elections. Who are there in the field? There's National Conference, there is PDP. These are the main parties in Kashmir, and there are some independent candidates. Listen to the People's Democratic Party slogans. They say, "Jis Kashmir ko khoon se sincha, wo Kashmir hamara hai." This is Iltija Mufti's popular slogan in Kashmir. Engineer Rashid says that the Kashmir ka masala hal karenge. When he is being asked what Kashmir ka masala, and when he is reminded that he has been shouting slogans for this United Nations resolutions, Kashmir's resolution according to the UN Security Council resolutions of 1948 and 49, he says that it's not wrong. I'm not asking for Azadi in Pakistan. I'm asking for the resolution of the Kashmir issue, for which I have come out, and it is not wrong. India has itself signed it. They have accepted this a resolution. So we are telling this new generation of the Kashmiris that we are simply night watchmen here in the field. Someone else will come and they will resolve the issue. I am someone who has interacted with the chairman of the United Nations Security Council at the UN headquarters in New York. I asked him particularly this question about the UN, this resolutions, UN Security Council resolutions. He said that there are no resolutions. He said that when the two parties will come to us, this is a sort of a resolution which will never on earth be implemented. He said that when these two parties will come to us, that means India and Pakistan together with a joint application, that please help us resolve, that means redraw the boundaries, whatsoever it is. Thereafter our role comes. Until that moment, United Nations has no role. These politicians are not telling this thing to the people of Kashmir, and because of this, they have misled generation after generation. You can ask Shaila about more about.
No, I'll go to Shaila, Mr. Fayaz, I'll go to Shaila. But there is a question for Brijesh. Brijesh broke the story long time ago. Brijesh broke the story that PDP is going to have an alliance. Somehow he broke the story and Ram Madhav was taken by surprise. So now I want to know, Brijesh, if there is a sort of a fractured mandate, do you think BJP will be able to get in touch with any political party, keeping in mind that relationship between them, NC and PDP is very bitter?
Well, I think, a lot depends on the give and take which is there at that opportune moment. Most of these ideological talks are just empty rhetorics. They mean nothing. If you are standing there, you're talking about the country, you're talking about so many things. But when it comes to have a shot at power, both sides agreed to be part of the BJP, be it NC or be it PDP. The BJP this time is trying to play safe. They are propping up as many independent candidates as possible, because they feel that if these independent candidates are able to play a small sport, and if the shot at power be, I don't think any party is going to go away and have a truck with the BJP or with the Congress party, whichever party emerges to be the single largest party as far as this election is concerned. You asked questions about why are roads not being mentioned, why are stray dogs not being an issue. Karthikeya, to be honest, someone who has covered a lot of general elections, you and I have covered elections together for so many years now, close to 2 decades. These are never issues in elections. Barring exceptional situation, there are never issues in any of the elections across the country. had they been the issue, the parties would have been in an over-competitive mode to make sure that we would have been, a first world country by now. Good roads, quality education, things like that. People say it on television, but when they go to vote, they vote on completely different issues. They may say whatever they want to. The way our politics is played out, it's a clear reminder that it's never implemented.
Okay, now let me ask about the assessment. Shaila, what is your assessment of the election? In Lok Sabha, the biggest surprise was Omar Abdullah lost. Engineer Rashid won the election. Suddenly there was a vote surge, and people never expected. So, what's your assessment of J&K? Let's put that on table. How do you see this election panning out?
So I will restrain my comments to Kashmir region only, because I don't have an on-ground insight on the Jammu region. In Kashmir, National Conference is strong. PDP is mostly, it has been hollowed out because all of their MLAs and MPs and whatever they have, moved to Apni party and other parties. So it is National Conference which is strong. Yes, in many of the cases, the independents will play a huge role, especially Sarjan Berkati and the other person who has contested from Jamaat-e-Islami. What's his name? The guy from Biru. These people, like some of these independents, will play a big role. And Engineer Rashid being out of jail, yes, of course, it will sway the election in a very big way. लेकिन जैसे मेरे से पहले भी जो पैनलिस्ट है उन्होंने कहा कि ये जो इलेक्शन होता है फाइनली इट इज ऑन वेरी it is not always on the most rational grounds. It is on very deep-seated loyalties. So, for example, even if you ask me as a resident of Srinagar city, my own bias is pro-NC. So NC is a strong player, but yes, some of the independents who have come into the fray now, they are, they will play a big role. They will sway a lot of, they may even win some seats. But then that is what democracy is. This is what the parties have been clamoring for. PDP, NC. ये लोग 9-10 महीने से तो यही बोल रहे हैं कि डेमोक्रेसी रेस्टोर करो, डेमोक्रेसी तो होगी डेमोक्रेसी रेस्टोर. दिस इज व्हाट डेमोक्रेसी लुक्स लाइक. And now they should be secure. This is my message to the NC and the Congress and whatever Indie Alliance, Broad Indie Alliance, whatever is happening there. This is my message to them. They should be secure, because this is not 1987. 1987 being a reference to the rigged elections of 1987, which birthed the Kashmir insurgency, which threw us into turmoil. So BJP here is putting nation above party and holding a very free and fair election, जिसमें even जमातीज, secessionists, हुर्रियत वालों के बच्चे भी contest कर रहे हैं और सबको level playing field मिल रहा है, सबको free and fair ground मिल रहा है.
What's your assessment of Engineer Rashid, Shaila? What's your Engineer Rashid, and why did he win by such a big margin? No one even wrote an article about him, if you recall, in Lok Sabha election. Not one line. It was
very surprising because in 2019 he lost to a man like Akbar Lone, and in 2024 he won against Omar Abdullah. So elections, as the panelist before me also said, they are all about sympathy, they are all about emotion, they are all about sentiment. It is not always rational. तो वो क्योंकि जेल में थे तो इसलिए उनको उस टाइम एक वो सेंटिमेंट का मिला. हाँ, अब मैं ये कहना चाहूंगी कि जहां जहां पे उन्होंने स्ट्रॉन्ग कैंडिडेट्स खड़े किए हैं, जैसे गांधरबल में शेख आशिक को खड़ा किया है. शेख आशिक is a strong candidate. He has been a business leader also. He has been in the KCCI. So yes, he will sort of create a problem for Omar Abdullah in that constituency, in Gaunderbal constituency. Now, what I was trying to say here is that government of India is doing a very good job by ensuring a free and fair election here and allowing all kind of forces to contest and not rigging the election, not tilting the level playing field in anyone's favor. I would actually like to quote one of my fellow panelists, जो दानिश ने एक बार बड़ा अच्छा वीडियो डाला था कुछ दिन पहले, जिसमें उन्होंने कहा कि यार जितने भी प्रॉक्सीज हो वो जनता हराती है इलेक्शन या जनता जिताती है. आप प्रॉक्सीज के बारे में क्यों, why are you stressing about proxies? So I really like that point by Danish कि people still have a right now to vote for NC. तो इनफैक्ट NC को जब भी पूछा जाता था कि आप तो डायनास्टिक पॉलिटिक्स हो, आप तो डायनास्टिक पार्टीज हो, वो एग्जैक्टली यही लॉजिक देते थे कि भाई डेमोक्रेसी में तो डायनास्टीज को भी हक है ना, पीपल हैव अ राइट टू चूज डायनास्टीज. सो दैट इज एग्जैक्टली द मैसेज टू एनसीए एंड पीडीपी कि ये जो एक छोटे से इलेक्शन के लिए पूरे वो कश्मीर को रेडिकलाइज ना करें और ये गलत मैसेज ना फैलाएं कि इलेक्शन रिग्ड है या इलेक्शन गलत है। नहीं, ये एकदम फ्री एंड फेयर इलेक्शन हो रहा है। इट इज अ सेलिब्रेशन ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी। इन फैक्ट, इफ आई एम अलाउड टू टेक जस्ट अ लिटिल मोर टाइम, आई वुड लाइक टू से दैट इंडिया इज एन आइलैंड ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी इन अ सी ऑफ एनार्की। हम अगर अपने इर्द गिर्द देखें, पाकिस्तान से लेके म्यांमार से लेके श्रीलंका से लेके बांग्लादेश, सब जगह कू चल रहा है, सब जगह मिलिट्री का रूल चल रहा है, सब जगह जो है गवर्नमेंट्स ओवरथ्रो हो रही है। आप अगर फ्रांस को देखें, फ्रांस में क्या हुआ है, वहां पे अभी प्रेसिडेंट मैक्रोन ने, उनको इलेक्शन का रिजल्ट पसंद नहीं आया, उन्होंने डिसमिस कर दिया इलेक्शन का रिजल्ट, उन्होंने अपनी पसंद का प्राइम मिनिस्टर बना दिया। अमेरिका में हमने देखा कैपिटल हिल जैसा इंसिडेंट हुआ। तो इंडियन डेमोक्रेसी को चेरिश करने की जरूरत है। हर जगह अपने मुल्क को बदनाम नहीं करना चाहिए कि रिगिंग होगी, ये होगा, वो होगा, लोगों के बीच में शक पैदा करना, लोगों के बीच में जो है कंस्पिरेसी थियोरीज फ्लोट करना, इसको प्लीज ना करें। बस इतना मेरा अपील है।
Okay. Danish, we were talking about Engineer Rashid. So my question to you is, it's a political question. Do you think it was more potent inside the jail? Or will it be less potent outside the jail? लोगों के दिमाग में बात आएगी कि चुनाव के बीच में बाहर कैसे आ गए एकदम?
So Karthik, you have to understand that, there were, many reasons behind the victory of Engineer Rashid, but one of the main important points that we all will have to understand is that it's only after 2019 that the line between the mainstream and separatist spaces has blurred. The reason that Engineer Rashid lost to Akbar Lone in 2019 and now Omar Abdullah lost to Engineer Rashid in 2024 is because that in 2019 the mainstream space had not entered into the territory of separatism. In 2024, the mainstream space, that's why I repeatedly say that Umar and Mehbooba are themselves to be blamed for taking the mainstream Indian space in Kashmir into the separatist territory. And now when the separatists have come, when people like Engineer Rashid, who wasn't a separatist, but who did espouse many other things that separatists would espouse, when these have come into this space now, into the electoral space, which is now a mixed bag, they have really taught Abdullahs and Muftis a lesson. That what lesson? That they are the bigger claimants of that space than Abdullahs and Muftis. And that's I think the main reason that the going of mainstream space in the separatism space, where these leaders are much bigger than these unionist parties, is probably the biggest reason behind Engineer's victory. But Karthik, what you have to also understand is, I was hearing Shaila's point that these parties, are like crybabies who always cry. That OC New Delhi has been propping up proxies, New Delhi has been popping up independence. If you look at in Kashmir, Karthik, it's very unique, it's very complex. I can safely tell you that I feel the government is on the Abdullahs and Mufti's sides. Because if you look at the security expenditure, if you look at the logistics details, if you look at the number of vehicles, if you look at the kind of elite special security group protection given even to the kids of Umar Saab, it's 100 times more than what Engineer Rashid or his candidates or other independents would ever have. So government is actually on the side of National Conference and the PDP. They're not on the side of the proxies. But once please, if independents are able to pull the public imagination more than that of the National Conference and PDP, I'm sorry to say they can't be blamed for that.
Okay, fair enough. I'm really falling short of time. Mr. Faz, thank you for being so patiently waiting. What is your big picture of the result?
My big picture is that these elections are different in the sense that until yesterday, these all people had been in the anti-election campaigns. They had been trawling people, harassing people, killing people. Whosoever participated in the elections, they would call them Indian agents. Now the same people are themselves contesting elections. It is a positive thing, and we must admit that this is an achievement of the BJP government. But more important thing is that The
Mr.
government of
Mr.
the
Fayaz, I
time
know I'm
has-
falling short of time, but something which I really wanted to ask you. I think this is the first election where people are voting for a less empowered state. It's a state run by LG right now.
Yes, it is a state run by the LG, that's true.
That's true. So the voting is taking for a less empowered CM.
That's true, but they are saying that this is not for making chief minister and ministers. They have converted it into a referendum in favor or against the decisions taken in August 2019. That is clear. In Kashmir, I didn't see anybody asking for schools and roads and drains and all that. They all are for restoration of Article 370, restoration of statehood and all that. And as far as the other side is concerned, that includes Engineer Rashid and all these people, they are saying that we are here for resolution of the Kashmir issue. They say that we are the victims of zulm, that is the oppression. And once they say it that this oppression is from Delhi. So they are creating an impression against Delhi. This will create a negative mindset among the new generation until it is brought to a positive line. We must welcome anybody who has been on the separatist side. If he comes back, he eschews and condemns violence in Kashmir and says that this was wrong. The right path is this one. We must welcome that. But if they are here for just lifting the ban from Jamaat Islami, for just getting their quote unquote brothers released from jails, I think this cannot essentially be a historic achievement for the Bharatiya Janata Party government.
Okay, I thank all of you for joining me. And the best part about this conversation was that, it was one of the most civil conversation I've had on the Kashmir elections, which included Article 370. I could not, get into the issue of dynasty, the high voter turnout and other things, but nonetheless, it was very fulfilling. I leave you with the bites of Omar Abdullah and I leave you with the bites of Farooq Abdullah, because they responded to what the Prime Minister said. But nonetheless, an election which people enjoy is a success. वही अपने आप पे successful है अगर people start enjoying the process. So I think the first step of the election is sending a good signal.
बीजेपी वालों से हम और उम्मीद क्या कर सकते हैं? बीजेपी इसके हवाले और बात क्या कर सकती है? क्योंकि बीजेपी के पास पिछले 5 साल का और कुछ बताने के लिए है नहीं, दिखाने के लिए है नहीं। मैं ये नहीं जानता हूं कि वजीर आजम साहब ने श्रीनगर आके अभी फिलहाल क्या तकरीर की, लेकिन मैं दावे से कह सकता हूं कि उन्होंने 3 खानदानों की बात की होगी, उन्होंने यहां और तरह की बात की होगी, लेकिन पिछले 5-6 साल जो जम्मू कश्मीर के पूरी तरह से जाया हुए हैं, जो जम्मू में नए सिरे से आतंकवाद देखने को मिल रहा है, जो यहाँ लोगों की नाराजगी है, और खासकर जो कल जनूबी कश्मीर में लोगों ने नेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस के हक में वोट डाले, उससे कोई इनकार नहीं कर सकता। अब पाकिस्तान को हमारे से क्या लेना देना ना, हम तो पाकिस्तान का हिस्सा है ही नहीं। वो अपना मुल्क संभाले ना, हमें अपना संभालने दीजिए। उनका ना हमारे इलेक्शनों में दखल देना या हमारी इलेक्शन पे टिप्पणी करना, मुझे नहीं लगता ये मुनासिब बात है। वो अपनी जमहूरियत को बचाएं, हम अपनी जमहूरियत में हिस्सा ले रहे हैं।
भैया पाकिस्तान क्या कहता है मुझे क्या पता है, मैं पाकिस्तानी तो हूँ नहीं, मैं भारत का